Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to my channel Reviewed, where we talk about all things television and film from today and yesteryear. So, I wanted to come on here and do a brief recap of Yellow Jackets Season 3, Episode 3. So, the episode starts off with Coach Scott and Mari in the cave. They are eating bat meat, I want to say. So he just served her up some bat meat, honey. I was like, I guess he do not want her to know about his little stash that he done came up on, okay, with the in the military case or whatnot. So they're chatting it up, having a conversation. And ultimately, Mari, she's like, oh my God, it's kind of cold in here. So she starts to scooch over to Coach, honey, like she's trying to flirt with him. And he was like, girl, I'm about as straight as a $10 bill that came out of washing machine. Like, miss me with it, honey. I am gay. You are not my type. Okay. So Mari is just looking all shocked and everything. And Coach also basically lets her know, he was like, y'all was some mean girls. It's like, y'all gave me such a hard time. He said, I was subbing because I needed to supplement my income so I could pay down my student loan debt. He was like, all these things that are happening to me. He said, I'm just a regular guy, just trying to make it, living my life right. He was like, I grew up in the suburbs. I didn't ask for none of this. He is just basically letting her know that he is not the bad guy. And what I did not like is, when he gets up and he's walking around, you can see the bear spray hanging, like he got it clipped on his pants. And I'm like, why would you let her know that you have something like that? Because, of course, Mari got her eye on this thing, right? So she's clocking it. And I'm thinking to myself, why is he walking around with this bear spray? Because clearly it did not come from nowhere. So I'm sure she's peeping that as well. But anyway, she ends up grabbing the bear spray and she ends up spraying his behind. So not only does she spray him, he ends up spraying her. So now these fools is laying down in the dark, dingy, dirty caves, can't hardly see because y'all don't trust each other. You know what I'm saying? And so eventually, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you sprayed me and whatever, whatever. And they sit down, they start having somewhat of a heart to heart. And, Mari ends up telling him about the time she watched her little cousin pass away. And I think he was like, why are you sharing this with me? And I think it was just a moment that they needed to have. But ultimately, she ends up saying, just can you please let me go? I'm not going to let anyone know where you are. I'll just tell them I got lost. They're still going to be looking for me. So ultimately, Coach ends up cutting the rope, and he lets her go free. And I was like, wow, like through all this, everything that Coach Scott has seen and been through in this wilderness, honey, in the forest, he still has humanity. You know what I'm saying? Like he still was able to just be like, it's going to be whatever it's going to be. He let her go knowing that it was a possibility that she was going to tell on him, let people know that he was still alive. And ultimately, he pays the price. So, honey, Vanessa goes to see her doctor, or I guess oncologist, honey, and the doctor basically lets her know that the cancer is no longer spreading, that she is basically in remission. And of course, Vanessa is shocked. Like, the doctor's like, your blood work is good, everything. And honey, so now Vanessa's like, okay, what's going on here? But she already kind of know. Okay. So Shauna's in the kitchen cooking breakfast, and she lets Lottie know that the food will be ready in a little while. And Lottie's like, "Oh my God, no, I'm good. There's certain things I can't eat. I need to recharge my chakras. My energy's a little off." And she tells Shauna, she's like, "Besides, I'm booked and busy." And Shauna's like, "Girl, how is your schedule booked when you just got out of a loony bin? Like, girl, please." And so Lottie's like, "Well, yeah, I have to do a little this and a little that." And Callie is just enjoying everything. Shauna also gets a phone call from Misty. Honey, Misty was like, "Girl, can you meet up with me so we can discuss some things? It's something I need to tell you." And Shauna's like, "Okay, yeah, sure, whatever." So Lottie is out, honey, seemingly getting some retail therapy, and Callie shows up. And Lottie's like, "Okay, so what's up with you wanting to hang out with me all of a sudden?" And Callie is basically trying to pick her brain. She is really trying to get all the information that she can about what happened to them out in the wilderness. And, I guess it's because Shauna does not like to talk about it. So they're out, in this store looking at this stuff, and she sees this dress, honey. And Callie's like, "Oh my gosh." She's like, "Oh, that's so pretty." She's like, "This will look so good on you." Lottie is showing her this dress, and girl, the price tag, honey, the price tag. So Callie was like, "Girl, I cannot pay for this." And Lottie's like, "Yes, you can. I'll help you pay for it." Miss Ma'am sticks the doggone dress in Callie's bag, honey. And she tells Callie, she's like, "The person standing over there by the door security, and the lady over there, she's security, honey. She think I don't know that she's security, but I've been clocked her. Like, I've been in here enough to know." She said, "Just follow me." And girl, she ends up leaving out the store with the dress. Okay. So Shauna ends up meeting up with Misty, honey, at this place where she said has the best scones or whatever. So they're sitting down talking, and Misty basically just let Shauna know that she had everything under control the other night, and she absolutely did not. Okay, ma'am was knocked out on that Tylenol PM or whatever it was Callie slipped in her drink. So Misty is going on, and Shauna's like, "Girl, you could have just told me this over the phone." And Misty's like, "Well, I just wanted to meet up with you in person, to let you know that I had everything under control." So Misty gets the call, and I guess her meeting or whatever that they had for her job was canceled. So she tells Shauna, "Girl, I'm free for the rest of the evening. What you got going on?" And Shauna was like, "Girl, I gotta go shop some, pick some things up. I need to make some forgive me baskets for my husband and these people that he about to do business with." And so Shauna is telling Misty, it's just like, "So, I don't know how long I'm gonna be, so I really don't need no tag-alongs." And Misty's like, "Girl, I'm free, so we can go ahead and hang out." Child, it does not end well at all. So Vanessa comes home, Thaisa was looking at the computer screen, looking at the waiter that ended up passing away. And, they both are like, "Oh my God, I need to tell you something. I need to tell you something." And so Thaisa goes, "You go first." She tells Vanessa to go first, and Vanessa tells her that she's in remission. And of course, Thaisa is so happy. She's so elated. They hug and all this good stuff. And, she finally lets Vanessa know that the waiter at the restaurant that they did a dine and dash on ended up passing away. And she was like, "You know what this is, right? Like basically he was sacrificed, and this is the reward that Vanessa is getting, that she is now in remission." And honey, Thaisa lights the candle and she starts saying this chant.
We hear the wilderness and it hears us. We hear the wilderness and it hears us. We hear the wilderness and it hears us.
Meanwhile, honey, Missy and Shauna, girl, they riding around, baby, and Shauna brakes is pretty much out in her car. So they end up going through this park, almost running over some baby's child. And she finally is able to get the car to stop, and she blames Misty. She said, "You're the one who left the cell phone in the bathroom." Misty's like, "Girl, what are you talking about? Like, I have no idea what you're talking about." Shauna was like, "You're the one who cut my brakes." And she was like, "Why would I do that? And I'm in the car with you. Both of us could have been unalive. Like, girl, don't play with me." And Shauna is so frustrated and she is so upset because now she is thinking that Misty is the one playing these games with her. And Misty absolutely has no clue what is going on. So Shauna was like, "Get out my car. Don't ever contact me again." Like she's basically washing her hands of the situation. Shauna is completely frustrated at this point because she literally has no clue as to what is going on. And honey, Misty has no clue either. Girl, Misty get home. She take that picture out of her and the crew, honey, and she ends up burning that picture. I'm like, "Baby, that's not gonna do anything because you still gonna want to be part of the clique." Like Misty is still longing for that friendship that she just felt like she just never belonged because she's just weird and quirky or whatever. So, but honey, her burning that picture, I was like, "Girl, please, you still gonna want to be friends with them ladies, okay?" So Mari makes it back to the site, and everybody is kind of happy to see her. Even Shauna low key happy to see her. And they're like, "Girl, what happened? Where were you?" And she tells them she got lost and she ended up falling into this hole in the ground. And she was like, "I dislocated my knee, and I had to climb up out the hole." And it was like, "How did you climb up out a hole if your knee is dislocated and you could barely walk?" And then she tells them that Coach Scott helped her. I was like, "Girl, not even 24 hours. Miss Ma'am did not even wait a whole day before she spilled the tea. Like it just flew out of her mouth like water out of a faucet." Okay, like girl. So everybody's like, "Okay, coach." She was like, "Yeah, he took me to this cave, but he let me go." And it was like, "Where he at? Do you remember how to get there?" And she tells them yes. And I was like, wow, like she just I was a little disappointed. I ain't gonna even lie. So while everybody is getting ready to go look for Coach Scott, Lottie, she is trying to convince Akila to start drinking the elixir, the little mushroom drink or whatever. And Akila tells her, she said, "Honey, you can say whatever you want to." She said, "But I am not interested." Okay. And that is that. So Shauna comes home and Lottie and Callie are in the kitchen, vibing, having a good time. They didn't cooked and everything. And Callie's like, "Oh, mom, come taste this sauce." And she's like, "Oh my God, that's really good." And, Lottie's like, "Honey, girl, when did your husband come home? Because, this food needs to be eaten right away, but the chicken is whatever can wait." So they're talking and Shauna spots this necklace on Callie's neck. And she's like, "Where did you get that?" And she's like, Mom, chill, it's cool. And she's like, where did you get that? And Lottie was like, I gave it to her. And she's like, where did you get it? How did you have it? You have no business giving this to my daughter. And Shauna loses it. She cusses Lottie out. She's like, you done lost your mother effing mind. Get up out my house. She's like, you are completely oblivious. Like, you have lost your mind. You are on 10 with your looniness. Like, girl, you got to get up out of here. And Lottie is like shocked. So I don't know if there's something that I missed because again, season 2 came out, I know, over 2 years ago. Okay, whatever. I do not know the meaning behind this necklace. Okay, and if it was given, honey, I completely missed it. So I'm wondering if we're going to get the story behind the necklace. Like, what exactly is the meaning behind this necklace? I'm wondering if it has anything to do with the girl that we saw Shauna kiss, when she was a teenager, if it belongs to her. But whatever it is, I'm hoping that we get the reason why it has affected Shauna in this way. So Thaisa and Vanessa are at the house chilling, watching TV, honey. Pee Wee Herman. I used to love Pee Wee Herman. Okay.
Why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer. Ah! Paparazzi!
Oh, Pee Wee, really? Now, children! Mr. Herman and I would like to have a quiet lunch. Why don't you play with Vance?
Yes, Miss Johnson.
So a commercial ends up coming on, and it's of this ice cream parlor. And it looks like it's a little cute, little family friendly commercial, honey. And then the little ghost or entity, whatever that Thais used to see as a kid, he ends up popping up in the commercial. And then his eyes pop out of his head like the dude on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I was like, girl, wait a minute. What are y'all doing? Like, honey, this episode had a lot of laughable moments. Okay. But anyway, so Thais is looking at the commercial. She's like, oh my God, did you see that? Did you see him? And she's asking Vanessa if she saw the guy. But Vanessa's like, yeah. So she ends up looking up the name of the ice cream shop. Thaisa does. And she's like, oh my God, I need to go there. This is a sign. I need to go there. Meanwhile, back in the wilderness, honey, these fools cannot even wait to go look for Coach Scott. Like, they literally leave at night. Like, who leaves at night to go search for somebody in the freaking woods in the wilderness? Like, are you serious? They literally could not even wait a day. Neither could Mari, honey. Her mouth couldn't even wait a day, okay? But y'all couldn't even wait a day to go look for this man. So these fools go out into the wilderness at night with their pitchforks, candles, whatever, honey, looking for Coach Scott. They end up in this cave, and I was like, literally watching them go through that cave, it gave me claustrophobia. Like, I was like, oh my God, just watching it made me so uneasy. Oh my gosh. I was like, that crawl space in there, it was just absolutely crazy. But they literally could not even sit and wait it out for morning. They went to go look for Coach Scott. It was like, nope, we going to get him. Thaisa and Vanessa end up going to the ice cream shop that is completely condemned and closed down. Thaisa ends up, breaking into the shop, and Vanessa's like, girl, this is illegal. Like, what are we doing? And Thaisa's like, no, we need to go up in here. And they start looking around, and it's just a bunch of nothing that is in there. So while they're in the old rundown ice cream parlor, they end up stumbling upon this coyote with this rabbit or whatever in its mouth. And, Thaisa is looking at it as another sign. And she's talking. She's like, what do you want? What do you want? And Vanessa is like, I know what it wants. So I don't know if that is another sign for an offering, sacrifice, or whatever, honey. Sometimes this symbolism in the show completely goes over my head. Okay. So while in the cave, they end up going separate ways because ultimately they get to a point where it's like they don't know which way to go. Like, the cave has several, I guess, entrances, just different places that you can go. And Mari, of course, was like, oh, I don't remember this. They come to a dead end. And so they decide to split up. So Shauna, Vanessa, and Akila end up in this room together, right? And when they get in there, Akila and Shauna's candle goes out, and of course Vanessa is the only one whose candle is still lit. So they're looking around in this cave, and Shauna ends up disappearing, and Akila ends up disappearing, and they all end up in these hallucinations, like these separate hallucinations. So Vanessa sees this door and she turns the knob and walks in and she ends up in this room. And it's just like a little nice, cozy room where she basically just sits down and she starts staring into the fire. And it's almost like she's getting hypnotized by the fire, so to speak. So Akila, she ends up in this area where all these blackberries are. She starts eating the berries and she stumbles upon this fence with all these cute little animals. So she goes over there and she starts petting the animals. And then, honey, all of a sudden, Akila turns into Dr. Doolittle. Child, she starts talking to an alpaca.
Sheep don't bite.
Everything with teeth bites. Everything will defend itself.
So Shauna's hallucination, she is in this lake swimming and she sees a little boy across the way and he's waving at her and she is super, super excited. Honey, I swear this is the only time I can recall seeing the teenage Shauna smile like this. Okay. So Shauna is so excited to see this kid. She's trying to get over to him. So she keeps swimming towards him. But every time she starts swimming, it's like she's not moving. She is staying in the same space. You know what I'm saying? Like she's not moving at all. And she starts to get frustrated. And ultimately, she is pulled down underwater. So while Vanessa is sitting, enjoying the fire, it ends up catching on the carpet and everything starts to burn up and these hands and stuff like that start coming out, clawing on her like she is stuck in the seat, like a seatbelt or something strapping her in. So basically, these hallucinations that are seemingly nice, warm, fuzzy dreams are now turning into nightmares. And Akila, she ends up getting pulled underground, almost like the grass or whatever starts sinking, almost like quicksand, and she ends up going underground. So once they come out of those hallucinations, they end up in a classroom together. They are sitting in the classroom, disheveled, as you can see. They all three of them looking dingy and dusty. They're sitting in the classroom, and honey, they end up seeing the same guy, the same entity or ghost or whatever creature that Thaisa has seen several times before. So, honey, Mr. No Eyes is pushing a cart down the hallway like he's a janitor or something in this school that they are currently in. So they're all in the classroom, and Jackie just so happens to be there as well. And so she's playing with this snap bracelet. Oh my God, I definitely remember those. And so she ends up passing it to Akila, like, girl, you need to try this out, whatever. So Akila snaps the bracelet on her wrist. She has no problem, with the bracelet. Then she takes it off and hands it to Vanessa. And Vanessa snaps it on her, honey, and it ends up cutting her arm. It's just like, ouch, like this hurts. And so Jackie's like, yeah, it beats that way sometimes, like, girl, it is what it is. So they're talking, and Vanessa ends up tossing the bracelet on the floor because she's upset that it cut her arm. And honey, with all the goings on in the classroom about this snap bracelet, Lottie, who is the head of the class, she had wrote this quote on the chalkboard that says, "Of all the ways to lose a person, death is the kindest." And I was like, I wonder what that's about. Okay. So, honey, I guess this is what the quote was about because Jackie took that snap bracelet and threw it around Shauna's neck. And when I tell you the girl was gagging, she was gagging. I was like, okay, Jackie, tell us how you really feel. Okay. So ultimately, they end up coming out of these hallucinating dreams, right? Coach Scott is dragging Vanessa. He's telling them, hey, we got to get them out of here. They went into a part of the cave where, it has poisonous toxins or whatnot. And so he is showing humility, trying to get them up out of there, trying to save them. Meanwhile, they are about to hold him hostage. So, honey, they basically tell Coach Scott, thank you for your services, but you are coming with us. Okay. They are about to hem this man up. Like, I don't know if they're gonna leave him in the cave or bring him back to their little their little area that they're currently living in. Like, I am curious as to how this is gonna turn out for Coach Scott because it's like, yo, come on. Oh, because we don't know if he's still alive. They haven't visited that, in the current uh world that they're living in as adults. So we really do not know what happened to him. We don't know what happened to a lot of them, actually. Akila and a lot of those girls out there, we really do not know the outcome. So I'm curious as to what is going to happen with this situation. I like Coach Scott. I still remember him from the originals, okay? Anyway, we shall see. We shall see. Well, that is all I have for you guys today. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate the support, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.